Hello guys, Omni here. We're going to be jumping into our last trailer for today, at least unless something comes out here in a little while that I'm unprepared for. But we got a new trailer for the next Call of Duty game, aptly titled Modern Warfare. This seems to be, from what I've read about it going into this, seems to be a dark reboot of the franchise, a more realistic, gritty, down-to-earth, present-day reboot of the franchise, getting away from the direction that it has gone. And aside from that, I've read a couple of notes about the announcement that are getting away from the annual pass model. A lot of the DLCs, the maps and stuff like that should be free and rolled out over a period of time. Unclear whether or not there's going to be any kind of microtransactions at all in the game. It's going to have a campaign. It really seems like, especially with them adding a bare bones mode into Black Ops 4, I think they're finally kind of getting a hint that people were kind of grown out of or grown bored with this futuristic, overly complicated and complex Michael Bay-esque storytelling and action and all these ridiculous abilities that your characters can do in these games. And it's just gotten to a point where Call of Duty is not even Call of Duty anymore. You know, back in the day, every shooter franchise had a different flavor to it. But then they all just kind of hyping on these trends. You had Halo trying to be more like Call of Duty. You had Call of Duty trying to become more like Titanfall, and then incorporating these qualities from Overwatch into their game, and other competitive shooters like the Rainbow Six Siege game. And it just, like, it became this concoction that just kind of eradicated any kind of resemblance of what these franchises used to be. It just kind of, they all kind of just morphed together, and you couldn't really tell them apart, except one of those had like a guy in armor running around punching aliens, and the rest of them are just running and parkouring off walls and all kinds of other ridiculous stuff. And like, it just seems like people, especially with what we've heard from Microsoft from 343 and their patch notes and their announcement notes for Halo 6, Halo Infinite, along with the direction and feel that they're going for this, from the way they're talking about it, that they're finally realizing that maybe we should go back to what people actually liked about these franchises. The things that made them different, not made them all just another copy of someone else's game. Who would have thought? Anyway, let's go ahead and check out the trailer and see what it shows. I cut it over a little late. It said in-game footage, actual in-game footage.
There's a fine line between right and wrong. And somewhere in the shadows, they send us in to find it.
126 actual. Target is in the main house. You have execute authority.
Bravo 6. Going dark.
Start clear!
Huh.
Victor 6-4, green light. Chemical weapons are now in the wild.
It looks gorgeous.
Get to safety, go!
We get dirty, and the world stays clean. That's the mission.
Okay. October 25th. The typical window.
Where's your team?
Some old comrades.
Okay. I appreciate that there's no hey, buy our pass thing, but like I said, they phased that out. So a couple things I wanted to read off here that I didn't mention. in the beginning of this, was that this is going to be the first one to feature cross-play support as well, between PCs and consoles. They didn't make a comment about whether or not this will be cross-play between Xbox and PlayStation, but they did confirm that the PC versions of this game will be uh, people playing on PC will be able to play with people on consoles. So that is interesting. That is awesome. That is a step in the right direction for these types of games and for gaming in general to move forward. Also, they've confirmed they will finally be using a different engine. They've been using the same engine for so long, and it's so noticeable that it's pain. You're pretty much playing a reskin version of the exact same, given the Call of Duty franchise was already like that for a long time anyway. They never even bothered to update the engine across the platform over the years. They talked about the players will engage in breathtaking covert operations alongside a diverse cast of international special forces throughout iconic European cities and volatile expanses of the Middle East. Cooperative play also returns in what Modern Warfare dubs Elite Operations, and they are promising an immersive narrative experience spanning all three of the game modes: single player, co-op, and competitive multiplayer. So there's some kind of story connection between all of the different modes. So that's kind of interesting. They talk about exploring the gray area in warfare when people are out on these ops, when they have to make these controversial calls to where there's not really a black or white answer to it. There's not really a good way to do this, not a bad way to do it, and sometimes you can't really weigh the costs. And I think that creates an interesting dynamic. Honestly, I haven't played a Call of Duty campaign since World at War. I've never played the campaign on any of the Modern Warfare games. I have only ever played Call of Duty 3's campaign and World at War, because that was the draw to me, was playing those iconic battles from our history, these older warfare where it was much more visceral and in your face, I feel like, than, how things have kind of gotten today with drone warfare, with all the technology, the advances and everything with advanced warfare, barring any of the supernatural cyborg abilities that they later incorporated into the franchise, which made it completely ridiculous, even more so than the Michael Bay stories they had been telling up until this point. I don't know. I feel like with this kind of effort, if this does kind of land the way that it's implying it's going to, with it kind of really going back to boots on the ground, as they might say, as the kind of franchise evolved out of like how it was with the first Modern Warfare, it might be enough to have me come back to the franchise. Black Ops 4 I was interested in purely because of that initial blackout mode. And from there forward, it was just, I don't know, burned out. But the bare bones thing is a lot of fun. I don't know why. It's just like, I just want to run around and shoot some people. That's all I want to do in this game. I don't need to be ziplining. I don't need to have superpowers. I don't need a robot chain gun arm or anything like that. Don't overcomplicate the game. That is for other games, in my opinion. And I know not everybody feels that way. I know that plenty of people like the direction the current Call of Duties have gone in. I personally don't. I personally think it takes away anything that made it distinctive from the other games. So no matter what you say about like Call of Duty 3, World at War, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, and them essentially being reskins of the same game, because honestly, they all were, but they were Call of Duty. They weren't Titanfall. They weren't Overwatch. They weren't Siege. They stood out, and the direction the series went in just made them blend into the mix and just fade off into existence. And I think it's shown with the fatigue in the franchise in the recent years. So who knows? Maybe this will be enough to spark up and reignite the franchise again. Who knows? We'll see. But they're saying a lot of promising things. But this is Activision. This is still Call of Duty. There's plenty of room but for them to screw that up between now and the release of this game. So we'll just wait and see. For now, I have some hopes, but I'm also approaching this very guarded and skeptical, which I think anybody else should be with how things have been lately. So at this point, I'm going to pass this off to you guys. What do you guys think about this change in direction for the franchise? What do you think about everything they've talked about with this going forward? Do you think it's a good move for Call of Duty? Do you even give a crap? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this video, make sure to support the channel by hitting that like button. And I will catch you guys in the next video. You guys take care.